Hey, Hope here with another video for you today. This time, I'll be guiding you through the new 6.2 Extreme Trial Storm's Crown. Let's jump straight into it. First things you'll want to set up are Protean positions. I suggest putting tanks and healers on Cardinal, and DPS on Enter Cardinals. Next is your light parties. Nothing special here. These are the markers I used, and I'll explain when we get to them. Now that all the prep's out of the way, let's get to the fight. The first mechanic is Void Aero IV. This is a standard raid-wide. Each time she centers herself throughout the fight, she uses Raging Storm, damaging the entire party. There is no cast bar. Following this is Savage Barbery. This is a two-part mechanic. The first thing to look for is the direction she's throwing the sword. By noticing the indicator, you will be moving away from this. Next, look at how she is holding the sword. If it's raised like this, you will be outside her hitbox. If it's lowered like this, you will stay inside her hitbox. Remember, always the opposite direction of the indicator. Following every Savage Barbery is Hair Raid. This is also a two-step mechanic. First, look at whether she stands tall or crouches to the ground. If she crouches, you need to run to the sword she threw. If she stands tall, you stay in her hitbox. With this, she will either indicate stack or spread. If you are stack, it's easy enough. For spread, it matters whether it's in her hitbox or at the wall. For inner hitbox, you just move out to your clock spot. If it's at the wall, use the same side as your light party group. Let melee take the closer positions. You can also move out after the cleave. She then repeats these two mechanics, doing the opposite of the original version. As you can see, we had outside the hitbox for Savage, and then in and stack for Hair Raid. So this time we get inside the hitbox for Savage, and out with spread for Hair Raid. Void Aero IV is used again. Void Aero III. This is a tank buster that applies a vuln, so be sure to swap. Teasing Tangles. You will be stunned and automatically sorted into DPS and tank or healer pairs. Using our waymarks, if you get an AoE, move to the wall in the 2 or 4 waymark. If you have Enumeration, you move towards the boss in the 1 or 3 waymark. During this, the boss will cast Secret Breeze, cleaving the 4 pillars. Be careful not to leave your circle or you will be pulled back in and likely die. Shortly after the cleaves, another Protean wave hits, so be sure to spread after the Enumeration. Another Void Aero IV. Curling Iron. This is a raid-wide AoE. If you stand under her during the animation, you will be knocked slightly out. This interrupts cast and does minor damage. During the next section, there are no cast bar names, so I'll be inventing ones to use. During the transition, pre-position around the boss in your Protean spot, and 4 dashes will cleave each tank or healer one at a time. When you are hit by the dash, Brutal Rush, dodge left or right to avoid the line AoE that comes after. Being hit does heavy damage and applies a vuln up. After the final dash, the boss makes a swirl type AoE and a center circular AoE at the same time. This is easy to dodge, but the tanks do need to stack for a shared buster. When these resolve, move to the center of the boss to avoid having to dodge several AoEs. This also positions you for the next mechanic. You will see large rock icons appear on 6 players' heads. Stack everyone's center. Wait for the large AoEs they leave behind to be baited by the players. Then head to your clock spot slice of the swirl safe zones. Your spread will resolve and enumerations appear on tanks and healers. Have tanks and healers rotate clockwise to meet their DPS partner to share the enumeration. Beware of the out and then in AoEs. Upon resolution, spread to your Protean spots, and DPS will now be dashed one at a time. Sidestep as the tanks and healers did before. Next is Knuckle Drum. These are several AoEs that hit rather hard in total. Be sure to mitigate and heal through this. 10 regular hits and 1 much more powerful hit. As the Knuckle Drum finishes, you will have all tanks and healers be targeted for dashes. Additionally, 4 players at random will place 4 ground AoEs. To resolve, stack everyone north during the Knuckle Drums, and rotate clockwise as the AoEs are placed. When this ends, there will be a knockback AoE in the center of the arena. Send the party south with its stack, and tanks north, east, and northwest with flares. The boss will then target all 4 DPS with dashes, spread to Protean, and sidestep as necessary. Be careful of the 4 AoEs dropping for the next mechanic. Teasing Tangles 2. This one does not have a cast bar and functions differently. The boss will shoot slow moving discs that if you touch, launch you in the air and most likely cause you to die. After a few have appeared and gone off, you'll be forced out with a point blank AoE. During this, 2 of the circles will have both players receive enumerations. Dodge the point blank AoE, then the out AoE, while dodging the discs. Soon after the outer AoE expires, enumerations go off. However, you are given a little bit of time after the final ground AoE expires, so focus on those first. Next is another round of Knuckle Drums, so I hope you didn't blow all your mitigation yet. Iron Out is another big raid wide without a cast bar that transitions you back to the original arena. Entanglement. Players are paired with PlayStation style markers. Send circle northeast, triangle southeast, cross southwest, square northwest. You can always look at the color of your symbol and the arena markers to know where to go. After your stun ends, the boss will cleave all cardinal directions with Secret Breeze, followed by a Protean, have DPS counterclockwise, and tanks and healers clockwise in your slice so you don't overlap. We get another set of Savage Barbery and Hair Raid, nothing fancy is added, followed by a Void Aero IV and III. Entanglement 2. Similar in style to the first version, this has some extra strings attached. Start the same way and wait for the enumerations to appear. The enumerations are random on which set of button get them. The result is 2 different configurations. First configuration is the enumerations are next to each other, such as circle and triangle being enumerations. For this, you go to the only side you reasonably can and pair with each other. The second configuration, the enumerations are across from each other. Simply walk forward and you will naturally walk into your partner to share. Another Savage Barbery and Hair Raid, followed by a Void Aero IV to close. Curling Iron will perform a raid wide to send us back to the arena with the wall that applies a heavy dot. Start by positioning at Proteans, wait for the 4 dashes to resolve on tanks and healers, before stacking north of the boss. The boss will use Knuckle Drums again, be sure to mitigate and heal. Next you will place AoEs starting at the north of the boss, rotating clockwise until you finish. Next go under the boss and place your red rock AoEs before moving out to your Protean position. DPS will receive 4 dashes one at a time, simply sidestep as they go off. Next is a get out, then back in with spread and knockback. 4 more dashes, this time on tanks and heals, sidestep as necessary. Now the Discs of Wind will come from the boss once again, with random AoEs on the ground. During this, another out, then in mechanic. Following this is a Spiral Slice safe zone and a shared tank buster. Next off is the same pattern of dodges we had in the beginning, where we were able to simply stand under the boss to dodge. This time there is a point blank AoE preventing you from doing so. Only small movements are actually needed here. During this mechanic, the party should work their way south and tanks north for another party stack with tank flares. One more Knuckle Drums. Iron Out is a raid wide taking us back to the original arena. Here we basically repeat the previous time we got here. We do Entanglement 1, Savage Barbery, Hair Raid, Void Aero IV, and Enrage. I'm going to let the rest of the fight play out for those who need it. Usually the boss can die pretty early depending on the number of deaths you have. If you like this video, want to see more guides, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Have a nice day.